Here's a real battle in the audience. I think it's pretty even.
It's pretty cool to see. You know, only 3 weeks into the season. It's not a telecom war, but there's a finals feel in the crowd. As a shout out to Korean caster Dongjun, who did cosplay as Pool Party Tarek in the official Riot KR music video to announce that skin. Not much excitement here in the Keystones. I love those finals feel. I love games like this where both teams have shown they can stand up. Neither team won by mistakes, they won by good play. And now the draft. No obvious shortcomings of either draft. My biggest question mark is, what does Fervor Renekton's laning phase look like against Maokai? Because Maokai usually is the ultimate equalizer of whatever lane. Is considered looking for a late invade, but against the Maokai, very difficult to do.
Yeah, Smeb, he's already got that E. Just tossing out the saplings, trying to spot out, see if there's going to be any sort of invasion. Was able to chunk Spirit down a little bit on that at least, so could exacerbate things for him as he tries to progress through the jungle, but otherwise looks like we're just going to have a bit of a mirrored jungle coming through as both will start on the top side of the map and work their way down bot.
If you want to evaluate the bot lane matchup, it is very KT favored in this particular lane. Malzahar's laning phase pre-6 barring an exhaust all-in hijinks, not very strong. Zyra has a super oppressive laning phase, and Varus is the strongest laning AD carry right now, so advantages go to KT without even discussing the personnel involved. Both AD carries have gone for the 3 potions build because it turns out that Malzahar and Zyra do a lot of ranged trade damage, so you know, people kind of will probably be watching other scenes and wondering why, you know, why the 3 potions? Seems greedy, what about Doran's Blade? But the thing is, when you're against a ranged mage, I mean, you call it a support, but they're basically a second damage dealer. How often do you actually get to walk up and put that life steal to use as Tucson falls so low?
Yeah. That is going to be a really early recall coming through from Tucson. Probably won't be able to net himself much. Meanwhile, Spirit going to rotate over, find Score in the river. He's going to jump in, goes for the trade. Spirit has to flash away. Flash forward by Score. Doesn't have anywhere to go. With that repel, the Cocoon comes through. Now Kuro sprinting his way through. Will lock him down to the Rune Prison just to make sure he can't follow. So flash for flash. But Spirit goes low and might have to recall out of the jungle a bit earlier than his opponent.
Yeah, Spirit actually showed a lack of game sense there. He didn't understand that Malzahar was chunked out, therefore he can't go for any sort of skirmish because they will be outnumbered. Mado was walking up from bot. So whether it wasn't so much the mechanics, but just the poor decision making. The moment you see your Malzahar chunked out, you walk back into your jungle, you're not giving anything up except for Scuttle Crab control. Yep. Not punished so far.
Smeb does spot out Spirit. You know that this would be him trying to take away this Romp. You can already see Score roaming his way up, still has the double buff. Romp will go over, they'll see him on the exit. Score, how hard in the paint does he want to go over this one? Looks like he's just going to let Spirit sneak his way out and back into his own jungle.
I mean, Corki had recalled and it was level 4 versus level 3, so that time threat wasn't there from Score.
Smeb's been pretty low on mana, so wasn't really in much of a position to roam down from the top lane.
Significant experience advantage for KT's bot lane duo, specifically over Tucson, is something we'll have to keep track of. The level 6 ping will come a lot faster. And remember, the bot lane has gone very topsy-turvy for Afreeca. In Game 1, they did not get much done. They had a favorable lane matchup but did poorly. In Game 2, they were much more on form and went very equal, so while Tucson's feigning aggression at level 2, he shouldn't push up too far.
The exhaust in on the bot as they try to get the kill, but Tucson's going low, doesn't have the exhaust there anymore. It's not going to do enough to mitigate the damage. He flashes away, but still goes down. First blood picked up by Deft. A nice start for KT, and if they can just keep this rolling, this is going to get out of hand very quickly for Afreeca Freecs.
But why? You have to ask the question, why Afreeca? You don't have the matchup to be able to do this. You didn't have the experience on the Malzahar, and going even is just fine against Deft and Mada. You give Deft an inch, he does it on the world stage, he does it on the national stage. He is a massively strong AD carry. So you have to wonder why they played with fire when they didn't need to. It's an unforced error, first by Spirit, then by Tucson in the bot lane, that has allowed KT the small, slender advantage they have.
Yeah, and now such a strong start coming through. Tear of the God is completed for Deft as well as that serrated Dirk. So he will still be pushing out quite a bit of damage as he builds towards that Manamune. And that had Yomo's Ghost Blade. So things are about to get very painful if you're Kramer and Tucson. We'll see how they manage to fare, but just way too aggressive from Tucson. He's going to fall even further behind in experience. And KT already off to a very nice start as far as the bottom lane is concerned. Mid lane still going to be faring pretty evenly, whereas Marin is coming out with a bit of an advantage in the top lane.
And you just wonder, how does Afreeca enter lane 2v2 in bot? When Malzahar loses the shield, especially from the passive, the only way you win this lane is an all-in trade on the side of Afreeca. You get poked out earlier. You need to be even in experience, but when you're so far behind in experience, you're basically a free kill as Tucson. So laning phase is going to be a headache and a half for Afreeca to get through.
Really aggressive here from Spirit. As you can see, Smeb not going to be pushing the wave up. He's perfectly content to keep this here. Looks like they might go for the dive, but Score is waiting in the wing. Stun comes out. Smeb throws up the Vengeful Maelstrom. Marin taking the tower. He's isolated at the moment, but you can see Spirit wrapping around to get close to him, so he doesn't take that big burst of damage from Score, who doesn't decide to leap in. So they'll just go ahead and peel back.
Good pathing from Score. He was where he needed to be. Looked like Smeb was able to drop aggro anyway. But because he hasn't recalled and has no mana, this is also good for Afreeca. This will require a minimum Corki to stop the blue from being stolen away.
On is here, throws out the rocket. And that's actually going to be picked up by Score. Yeah, spites it perfectly. But now TP into the bottom lane, coming through from Marin. Deft and Mata way too far forward. The silence connects. Can Marin get in there? The slice and dice comes through. That's going to be the stun. Oh. That's going to be the kill. Marin takes him out. Meanwhile, in mid, Kuro goes low, but he's got the ghost. Doesn't need to pop the flash. And now Mata gets hit by the Ash Arrow. Silence connects. Can he make it out of here? Throws down the roots. Will it be enough? No. The volley from Kramer does hit him in the end. He comes up with a kill, 2 on the board now for Afreeca. Nice turnaround.
And vintage Marin, his map play was always his strong suit. His teleports were unrivaled on SK Telecom. It's one of the reasons why he had that streak, 29-1 on the Maokai. Specifically around his teleport players, Lissandra also was super notable. Remember, just a second ago, he was looking to assist a blue buff invade, hadn't shopped, went straight bot, noticed that Deft and Mata were overextended, as you'd expect, given they'd got the kill on Tucson just before, and punishes them with aplomb. Great stuff from Afreeca, and now they're the ones with a slender lead.
And he knew that there was no way for Smeb to answer. If he had TP'd alongside him, it would have been a manaless Maokai who has not bought anything at the moment, but finally the recall does come through. Smeb able to pick up the Bombing Cinder, a second Doran's ring, and a cloth armor as he builds towards that Sunfire cape. But with that kill picked up on Marin, he's got a significant buy in the inventory. Phage and double longsword as he works towards that Black Cleaver.
Yeah, 14-minute Black Cleaver is looking like the par time, maybe even earlier than that if he gets more done. Well, that's pretty overly aggressive, but it's only level 5 from the Malzahar, so no lockdown provided there.
And that play in the bottom lane just kind of nullified a lot of the work that Deft and Mata had been able to do. You can see though, gank maybe coming through. His pawn is waiting in the brush, has the package available, but there's 4 members in the bottom pawn. He goes into the back lane to try to cut them off, but he's going to find 4 members waiting for him. The Cocoon does not connect, but the Ash Arrow does. TP comes through from Smeb. No, interrupted actually in the top lane by Marin. And that's just going to be a trade 1-for-1. They lose their mid laner, get a support. KT definitely coming out on the backside of that exchange. They do get a lot of damage onto the turret, but looks like that first brick will be evading them for quite some time. And now Deft getting a turret shot, definitely a bad look. Score's here to back him up. They're going to try to shove them off. Looks like they will be able to get the turret, so this should be a more beneficial exchange for KT in the end. But definitely a hard fought one by Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, it was a really great setup by Afreeca. They knew exactly what was coming and were in position to try and counter. Ended up going 1-for-1 because there was no way for all 4 of the Afreeca Freecs to get out of dodge. You know, one person had to go down. It ended up being Tucson, who now obviously still continues to be starred for experience. But that was the best counter setup I've seen to what was a staple of the Rocks Tigers, those turret dives around the bot when the turret fell low.
The Realm Warp coming through.
No turret, no minions though.
Yep, don't have a wave. And Marin, he's not quite tanky enough yet. Does have that ultimate to get a little bit of burst of extra HP, but still way too risky, even with Kuro. Having that innate damage on the rise, they will go ahead and peel back off of that one. So Realm Warp down. That's a nice timer for KT to track so they can know when Kuro is able to just TP into bot, TP in the top, and affect a kill. For now, KT, they have a very slight lead, 500-600 gold at the moment. Afreeca Freecs, they are not going to go down without a fight here.
We knew this series would answer a lot of questions. Where are Afreeca at? The Smeb versus Marvin rivalry, where's that at? A lot of people were ready to write off Marin. He didn't get on to SKT or KT, one of the true dream teams. Didn't have a good year in China, an older player, the oldest player in our league, 1991, so he turns 26 later this year. People were ready to say, you know, he had his time and he was done. You watch this series and it's clear Marin is not done. This guy still has a champion pool and knows how to teleport in a way that other members or other players can't really hold a candle to. And it's happy to be optimistic about Marin again. It feels like there was that narrow time around Worlds 2015 where you could really trumpet Marin as one of the world's best. And since then, there hasn't been that time. On a team like Afreeca, where he is the superstar, they may have Spirit, they may have Kuro, they look to Marin to win them the game. And Marin's been very, very good this series.
Yeah. I mean, as well as, you know, being on a team where there are no language barriers coming through. So definitely a factor that could come through when he was playing in China with that poor performance. But things on Afreeca definitely paying off a lot better for him.
We withhold our judgment. Very, very even, 12 minutes in. Scaling from Kuro has been pretty delayed. Went for Merc Treads first for a bit of insurance, but means we won't be hitting the 10-minute Rod of Ages timing that we saw in previous games.
I wish we got a replay to see exactly where Smeb tried to teleport down the bottom in that play.
We didn't draw Flash, so it had to have been a pretty aggressive teleport.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So maybe he thought that he could get the teleport off in the window, the cooldown of a W, perhaps. Not really sure.
Flash arrow goes wide.
Yep, not going to connect. Depth trying to sprint his way out of here. Roots will not connect on the Spirit. He'll take a big chunk of damage from that piercing arrow, though. Won't get the turret quite yet, but they get a hell of a lot of damage onto it.
Marin has his teleport, so KT have to be careful with how much resistance they show.
Oh boy, Score going in really aggressively. Has a flash over the wall.
Oh!
Blast code coming through from Marin. Score is invisible, and Smeb is there to pick him up with the twisted advance. He'll get a good burst of damage in. Kuro
Spotted.
gonna reveal him, but they can't follow up for the kill. And Score will make it out with his life, but has to pop the flash.
But for now, Afreeca will be frustrated in trying to take a cross-map bot lane outer turret to answer the one that KT picked up earlier. Score does have time to go. Spirit has time to go into the enemy jungle and do some counter jungling. So the team play is good here from Afreeca.
Thought maybe they'd be looking for a Realm Warp there as everybody was collapsing in towards the rise.
Still level 1 Realm Warp. The range is really, really short. So
there's no vision there really for KT. They do have one ward right next to the ramp up into the jungle.
that's why it feels like their outer bot lane turret staying up. It's kind of a bonus. They were really in no stead to be able to keep it up. They couldn't really fight for it because of that lack of vision you described, Achilles, but they put enough doubt into the minds of Afreeca that they pulled away. So clearly that turret will go down in the next 5 minutes. But the fact that they don't get a big shop at this point, maybe boots to complement the Essence Reaver that Kramer picked up. Item timings are such an important factor when the gold is so even between the two teams.
Score gets spotted there. Looking for a pick with Tucson here. Is level 6, 3 levels down under Kramer at this point. Pretty significantly. I mean, he's bounced back a bit.
Amada's level 6 as well, to be fair.
Amada should still have an experience advantage over top of him. Again, there's an extra assist here for Tucson.
Usually when you get ahead as a support, you end up roaming more because you're like, well, my opponent has to stay in lane, so I'll roam. It's not often that you're just sapping an equal amount of experience with an under-leveled enemy support. AT are making the sort of moves they weren't able to early in the game, and this is risky for Score.
And at the grass being onto Score. Cocoon lands perfectly. Kill comes through from depth, but it's just not nearly enough. Now the chase coming through. Repel won't connect, and a nice Zyra ultimate thrown down by Mata will pop up too. Ash Arrow comes in, Realm Warp straight in on top of depth, and Mata,
taking it.
Find him, and they take him out. But Pawn is there to answer with a bit of damage. Mata gets caught by the Cocoon. Flash forward from Pawn. Does come up with the kill, and now Smeb has TP'd down into the, or ran down into the bottom lane, gets on top of Kuro, comes up with one, but Marin slicing and dicing his way to a kill on Pawn helps equalize the count. That's going to be several kills picked up for Afreeca, as well as the outer turret in bottom lane. They will profit heavily, and they will net themselves a gold lead.
Yeah, 2 for 3, but they do get the outer bot lane turret. However, I think it could have been so much cleaner for Afreeca. The Realm Warp was a mistake from Kuro. It was a face check by Score. So this was a nice start to the fight, but they could have just guaranteed the bot lane turret and not necessarily gone for more. The Realm Warp up top was ill-conceived. It was when the minions had died, and this Realm Warp, you're Realm Warping into basically melee range of Zyra and Corki. You're never going to be able to get a favorable trade in that scenario. So even if Marin spares the blushes by turning around and getting one single kill on the backside of this, it should have been more for Afreeca, given that they didn't have to commit all 5 members. They kind of get the minimum in a scenario where they could have got a big lead over KT.
Now just 300 gold separating these squads. A turret each, a dragon there for the side of KT Rolster. Just an Ocean Drake. Cloud will be the next one to spawn. See what comes after that, but for now, Afreeca Freecs seem to have the vision priority over that bottom side of the map. See wards on both sides of the pit surrounding it. Pushing forward, he'll be taking out these Raptors, and Spirit just patiently waiting to see if somebody wants to walk through. So he can line up that cocoon. Tucson has the Nether Grasp available yet again, and could very easily follow up, but for now looks like I'm just going to go ahead, start up the Dragon. Voidlings not nearly as adept at tanking as before. Spiderlings, they do a pretty good job still.
Yeah, Voidlings and Spiderlings were free Barons in previous patches, although Malzahar's support is stronger. The Drake Baron isn't as much as Marin's tankier, but still not that tanky.
And he throws up the ultimate. He's just going to slice and dice his way out. And will have to go ahead and concede this turret in the end. Keeps himself alive, doesn't have to use the flash. And that's going to be the Dragon coming in for Afreeca Freecs. So just a bit of an exchange coming through on both sides. And now maybe looking for depth in mid lane, but he spots them out. They pass through a ward. Can't really clear this wave. It's going to be a very aggressive teleport coming through from Smeb. It's going to cancel it in the end. Actually gets canceled out by Marin yet again. Dashes forward and interrupts it. But did he make a mistake? Gets slowed up by the slam. And Sunfire is just ticking away at him. Big twisted advance following forward. Marin had already used that ultimate. Has to flash away. Smeb can't follow with his own. And Spirit is here to answer, so won't be able to come up with that solo kill. So Marin doing a damn good job getting rid of that TP, but he loses his flash for it, and Kuro, meanwhile, in the bottom lane, gets into a bit of a scuffle, but he's able to exit with his Realm Warp.
Yeah, the defensive Realm Warp was a lot better than the last 2 offensive Realm Warps. Marin ends up trying to flash for teleport to Spirit.
Walking forward. Smeb and Mata find him. Nethergrass comes down onto the Maokai, still very tanky, but now Depth arrives at the backside. Throws out the Chain of Corruption. They lock up Tucson, who should be going down.
Marin's here.
Yeah, Marin arrives, and Mata is going low, has those Malefic Visions. Marin gets locked up, however, and there's just too many members of KT Rolster. They stomp him out. They get rid of Spirit. Now Kramer, Manalus on Ashe, has to run back around to this tier 1 tower. KT picking up 3. Nicely fought by them. Can they transition this into a turret, though?
Yeah, super nice catch from KT. Because there wasn't much setup, Afreeca didn't have exclusive vision. They're the ones that ended up getting picked with the pick comp they've drafted. Now KT able to clear out wards. Not able to answer. Marin gives up quite a lot of gold and experience, given that he was at 2-0 before the start. Afreeca understand that they need the earlier power spikes because they are outscaled in multiple roles by KT Rolster, but it was Spirit face checking and being out of the fight from the start, and then everyone on the side of Afreeca is out of position as Deft is free hit.
Yeah. You can see Mata, knowing his limits, just fearlessly sticking around. I mean, even if he does go down, he's going to be taking those 3 members of Afreeca Freecs with him. So really wonderful play coming through by him on the Zyra, helping to lock down Spirit to really get that kill. And the rest of Afreeca Freecs just kind of spilled forth one at a time.
Now Pawn and Def can both look for sieges and have got the QSS as a potential out for the multitude of pick CC. Every member of Afreeca has pick CC, so
yeah,
certainly not going to be enough in late game team fights because there will be the follow-up CC, but it does make poking under turrets, which is what Corki and Varus do so well, relatively safe for both.
Looks like they thought that somebody's going to walk into the brush here and find Smeb. As you can see, that Yomo's Ghost Blade was popped. They really just want to be able to stick in on mid lane and keep the siege up. Spirit, Cocoon not going to connect. Marin's here to back him up. He'll sun up Smeb, but a lot of damage goes forth onto the Elise. Could very well just be yet another recall coming out. Kramer will spot score over the wall with the hawk shot as the turret eats a bit more damage, but they still can't finish it off quite yet, even with that Trinity Force Corki there.
It's almost an inevitability, though. Wave clear is pretty low on the side of Afreeca. Rise, if he walks up, can, for sure. Ash will help, but a lot of siege from these two you see on the screen, Pawn and Deft.
Ash arrow comes out, Deft, really nice cleanse, almost immediately takes that one out. Spirit, oh, gets hit by the piercing arrow straight into the rocket from Pawn, and they take him out. Koro going low, has to flash to the other side of the turret, which is going to go down. Martin coming in, but he's just going to get rooted. Might just lose the Guardian Angel right here, and he will. Slice and dices forward once, can't get the second cast off. Can they finish him off is going to be the question. They root him right there with a twisted advance. Smeb will pay for it with his life, but that could lead to yet another turret going down in favor of KT Rolster.
It'll even be 3 Achilleos. It's a very fast push available. No minion wave will slow things down, so it'll only be the inner turret, but there's no threat onto Corki and Varus in the backline. Unless Marin's getting one of those flank teleports we saw in Game 2, he will not be the one to do that. Spirit has been DPS out of fights twice. And you just have to consider that Deft and Pawn are at very high amounts of damage. Trinity Force just completed a couple of minutes ago for Pawn. And the moment that they go all in on trying to take down Deft, no one's there with Tucson, no one's in the backline, and everyone else. They can turn on Marin because the AD carries are free hitting from KT.
Yeah, it seemed like Tucson maybe playing on 40 MS right there, flashing over the wall after he loses the jungler for the follow-up CC. It costs him his life. It costs Afreeca Freecs a hell of a lot. And Marin now going to be without that Guardian Angel. The raw stats alone not going to do much to mitigate the damage that's coming out of Deft and Pawn at the moment. So he is going to be in a bit of a bind. Can't go as ham as he wants to on this Renekton. We've already seen how fearlessly he's playing. And it's really just causing Afreeca Freecs to start suffering for it. Spirit as well. Not looking nearly as adept on this Elise as he does on Olaf.
Triple QSS from KT as well. So much respect to CC. Maokai is just tanking up this Baron. Afreeca doesn't have an idea of the HP value. Spirit might just have to try and suicide on it.
He goes up with a repel. They can just buy some time. He will have to come back down. TP does get burned out by Marin, so KT, if they just want to disengage here, that's still profit gained by them. Can they find the chase? Tucson still has his passive up. They're trying to poke it off of him. Maybe line up a chain of corruption. But it looks like KT, they're just going to play this top side of the river.
KT have all the options. They turn back onto Baron, clear the ward.
This is the point that could make or break the game here for either side. Spirit gets chunked out to half HP. Smeb not able to follow in with the twisted advance. KT just going to play this out patiently, but looks like they will wrap back around to defend this turret in mid as best as they can.
Chains of Corruption accuracy isn't usually a big point, but it's the only true ranged initiation that KT have. So repelling on the Chains of Corruption stopped KT from being able to turn. Means that Afreeca slight breathing space, but no more than that. They got KT away from the Baron, but still not able to dictate anything. The game is being played at the pace that KT decides.
Score just jumping over the backside of the pit. They know exactly what's happening though. With the Afreeca Freecs. Looks like it might just be another Ocean Drake going over to KT. Marin trying to contest this one, but a bit foolishly. We'll slice and dice on the backside of the pit, but the rest of Afreeca Freecs are going to try to start this up, but the TP comes through immediately from Smeb, and they just have to back off. So that'll be canceled, so they get a little bit of that cooldown refunded here.
Season 6 strats right there with the Elise Malzahar Baron attempt. Not to be.
Not nearly as effective, though. Yeah, as we already discussed, it looks like Deft will arrive in time to stop this minion wave from taking the tier 1 turret top lane.
Ooh, KT want to stop these recalls.
Kramer all alone. Did they jump over the wall? There we go. Big burst of damage. Cocoon connects, but the QSS comes through and Pawn finds the kill. Can they get more? throw getting spotted out. Now Smeb coming in on the backside, locks him down. The Realm Warp won't connect in time, and they get 2 picks, and you can be damn sure KT are going to go straight back to that Baron yet again.
Yeah, decisive call to stop the recalls. Only one went through. That meant the rest of the damage dealers were going to be free food. Smeb can tank up this Baron for days. And, well, good luck, Spirit. You're going to need it.
Needs the Miracle Steal, has the wards in the pit, can see the HB, but might be a bit of a suicide mission. Meanwhile, speaking of that, Marin comes in on the sidelines. No one else from Afreeca Freecs following
no control
up.
water. He does have
down.
vision here.
Spirit is patiently waiting this one out, but he's going to get locked down, and they pop him over the wall. Beautiful play by Mata to just get the root, and everybody turns on to him. That's going to be the Baron picked up for KT. That's going to be a 7,000 gold lead. It looks like they might just be able to close out the series.
And this play call, we knew that one of Mata or Score would be able to really lead from the front. Both of them experienced shot callers. I'm sure Smeb, Deft, and everyone else can help out as well. They interrupted the recall. Smart, decisive call. They get the Baron they've been fighting for the last 3 or 4 minutes. And this should be the breathing room to allow KT to take a series. A blemish on their record, but really set up to take over this series.
Yeah. And now Afreeca struggling, and you have to, kind of consider this Renekton pick here from Marin. Was doing decently well, stopping the teleports down from Smeb. Had that big impactful TP into the bottom lane early on, but since then hasn't been able to do anything. Every time he walks up, they just completely isolate him. They eliminate him, whether it's getting rid of the GA, whether it's just killing him. And he can't do anything in these fights.
I think that's the easy thing to say. This pawn plays with his life a little bit. To me, the bigger question mark has been Kuro's rise. I think he's contributed very, very little in this game. The Realm Warps haven't been on point. He hasn't threatened the backline or appealed for his front line, or his backline either. In general, I don't think his command of Rise has been good enough to justify the premium they paid to take it here. It's certainly not been his Orianna performance from Game 2.
He's just getting chunked down.
Elise and Renekton being launched in the backline, maybe you do instantly kill an AD carry and win a team fight, but that sort of coordination or the item timings haven't been there for Kuro to be a threat, whether with the Realm Warp or just as Rise himself.
Oh, Corruption not going to connect from depth, but might be enough for them to push back Score. He will pop the QSS, but the turret falls all the same, and now KT looking to break the inhibitor line here at 28 minutes. Pawn has a hell of a lot of damage with that Triforce. They will be able to knock this down. How much more can they get? How much do they want to stick around for? Minions are knocking down the tier 2 in top lane. Wave's already pushed up for them.
A double ocean Achilles, so they're actually pretty happy to stay from here.
Yeah, this gives them so much more sieging potential, as if they didn't already have enough. See, not a big wave. Another one is coming in right behind. See if they want to just stick up for this and take out the second turret. Looks like that is going to be the game plan. Just ignore the top lane for now. They can always rotate straight up to there from here as they get ready to knock down yet another inhibitor and just bleed Afreeca Freecs dry inside their base.
They're running out of Hail Marys. Maybe a Realm Warp. I think that would just be a suicide journey. The Ash Arrow's been on cooldown for the last bit, so it hasn't been an option for them. Double inhibited down. They'll go and take the top lane turret as well. And then plenty of gold in the purses to shop and look for the final push for KT Rolster.
See if they can ride this Baron buff all the way to 3 inhibs. They only have a little bit of time left on it. Tier 2's down. They still have a pretty strong wave with them, but looks like they're going to go ahead, spend this hard-earned cash they have netted for themselves, and come back with even more items and finish stomping out Afreeca Freecs.
11,000 gold. Hasn't been a series stomp, which for Afreeca is a big win. They took Samsung to 3 games, beat them 2-1. They take KT to 3 games, and
sure,
looks like they'll fall down, but for a new lineup of players that have no experience or synergy playing with each other, it's kind of patchwork towards the end of the transfer season. I mean, pass marks and then some for Afreeca. They look like a top 5 team, which had to have been their goal preseason.
Yeah, when they're on blue side with Olaf.
They look like a top 2 team on blue side.
Can you check off those 2 boxes? Congratulations, you're going to playoffs, boys.
Imagine if they beat SKT on blue side. That'd be a story.
That would be very impressive.
The blue side specialist.
But for now, it seems like Afreeca will be suffering Yet another loss, as you mentioned. Not that many Hail Marys left that can be made, and even if they do get a
I mean, who's the Ash Arrow hitting at this point? Zyra, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, kill Mata. He's been pretty crucial in these fights.
The layering of CC is not realistic because let's say Ash Arrow comes, Annalise walks up, or Malzahar walks up. They just turn and kill the relatively squishy people looking for a follow-up catch.
Yeah. It's going to put a pretty serious dent in Kramer's KDA, you have to feel. Might fall out of that number 2 spot.
The fact that he's above Bang is kind of a minor miracle, though.
Very much is.
I guess someone has to die sometimes for SKT.
Everybody dies. Some just need a little help. One of Kramer's big 80 carries last season.
That's true. Outside chance the Lucian will come back in future patches. So people have been playing around with it. Third and final inhibitor goes down. Will we see the final fight here from Afreeca?
Oh, looks like Smeb wants to say yes. Goes in on Agora, but the Nethergrass immediately comes out. Kramer just firing away with the volleys. Will be able to pop the GA. Baron as well. One final auto attack by Mata. Able to get rid of his. Tucson eats that piercing arrow, goes low, but will be able to retreat, but Kuro cannot say the same. The Rise goes down. 3 waves of super creeps getting ready to crash into the base. One Nexus turret already down to half HP. This is looking quite done for Afreeca Freecs. Need an absolute miracle to come out on top. Baron dashing forward, trying to get on top of score, gets the stun, but immediately cleansed off, and they pop him in return. And with no tanky front line, a Nexus turret down, this is going to be the game. KT Rolster coming in on top as Pawn just picks up a couple kills inside the fountain. 32 minutes on the clock. Not as clean as game 1, but still pretty damn good. KT 2-1. They will continue the win streak.
Yeah, congratulations to KT Rolster. Will go 4-0 after this series, but Afreeca can hold their heads high. They were not stomped out. They had a very good performance in game 2. And KT